right, welcome back to Global Giving Women Fair Game podcast, recorded here at the beautiful Light and Wonder studio. So excited to be back for episode 3 of season 3.
Already?
I know, it's crazy.
This is like going really fast.
Time
is a thief, really, if you think about it.
I love it though. I'm like, we have been doing this for over 3 years now, we can officially say.
Yeah, that's wild to think about, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I'm so proud of us. It's been such a journey.
So proud of us too.
Yes. And I'm so excited this is the first Spotlight series of season 3.
Yes,
but I feel like it's almost like a hybrid of Casino 101 because Megan is so impressive in how she explains data science and its role around AI transformation and overall culture of transformation.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is a good combo episode. Yeah. I know you're going to lead with Spotlight series, but I think this is a great highlight of both.
Yeah.
And how data science and AI and the transformation goes into the casino world. So yeah. I think you're right. You're spot on. It's a great combination of both.
Yes. Oh, Megan is so impressive. So excited to welcome Megan Azevedo. She is Senior Manager of Data Science at the Venetian Resort Las Vegas. And I love the story of how we connected and, how she is now a guest on the podcast. We met so briefly at a WISE, Women in Sports and Events, Las Vegas event in January. So just a few months ago. And a very brief interaction. Like we said hi, I always have my LinkedIn QR code as my background. We connect on LinkedIn. And I am just kind of looking at our background and I noticed some things that we had in common that I was kind of deciding on at the moment. I was kind of like in a pivotal time in my own career. So I was like, can I pick your brain? I know I met you for 2 seconds, but can I get some career advice? And she was instantly like, oh my gosh, yes, of course. We had a wonderful 30-minute call. It was very pivotal for, the direction that I was going within, my career. And then, I got to invite her to Las Vegas Women in Product Collective, which we're now both a part of. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like you've done so much for me. Let's bring you on the podcast because this is a cool story and you have an insanely amazing background. And so here we are. That power of networking, that power of follow-up. And I was on a panel once with Brooke Fiamara and she said, the event is the appetizer.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
So true.
Shout out, Brooke.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite quotes ever.
Exactly. And so I just love the story of how we've gotten here. And Megan is just so impressive. And, we wouldn't have had that connection if, we hadn't followed up with each other after meeting even just briefly at a networking event.
Yeah, super important to do the follow-up, right?
Yeah, I love it. Do you have any pivotal moments where you almost didn't follow up with somebody, but you did, and then all of a sudden, wow?
Yeah, let's get cheesy, right? I think, like Brooke says, it's just the appetizer. And I think back to when you and I briefly met and the power of GGW and what this organization does bring for women. Yes. We met very briefly at a Kick Up Your Heels event, right? One of the biggest ones of the year for GGW, but you remember that, that event. It's loud, it's crazy, it's a party, it's hard to hear, right? So, I remember meeting you. I remember getting an introduction. I think it was Stephanie Barrett. We get the introduction, move on, right? It's G2E, it's crazy. We don't think about it.
Yeah.
A couple weeks later, I asked Stephanie what she thought about, maybe having you come join us for a podcast. I think it was just like a spotlight at the time. I was like, let's just see what we can do here. And then because I did that follow-up, look at where we are today, 3 years later. So
I love that.
I do. Yeah, it's super cheesy. We went cheesy on this one. But I do think the power of follow-up is really important. And it's sometimes it takes just a couple of seconds. Yeah. And just remember, always reach out, keep in touch, and make sure your network is wide. And just always do the follow-up.
Yeah,
it's important.
You never know what's going to happen. Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you. That's such a good anecdote. I agree. And then anyone who's listened to the podcast for a while knows, that my follow-up with Sue Schneider literally launched my career in the gaming industry. So grateful for her. But yeah, that power of the follow-up, I love it. Well, I'm so excited to bring Megan in, and I am so excited about this conversation around not just her impressive career journey and, how she has trusted pivots and redirects and, overcome, doubts and, just hurdles within how she has, in a jungle gym sense, not career ladder sense, gotten to where she is today. But I'm also really excited about how she is able to, in a beautifully, easy to understand way, break down the importance of data and data modernization in this age of AI transformation that we're all in, and also the importance of culture, right? And having a culture of adoption and innovation. So
yeah, I'm not like I'm not a data person myself. I use data, right?
Yeah.
So I the power of data and how important it is in the day-to-day things that we do, especially in the casino world.
Yeah.
We sell on data. It's so important to have it because like you can't, get more units, sell more, place more units without it. So it's not only fascinating to hear her journey, but also hear about what she does a little bit. So this is pretty cool. I'm excited about it.
Exactly. And it's so fun now that I'm, in my new role at Insight Global and I get to be back on the customer side, right? Like we're doing data, AI, cloud and culture and, leadership advisory projects. And so I'm like, it's so cool to see it all together. Like it is not just AI implementation. There's a whole journey that people, need to be aware of. And
data's at the center. Can't do it without it.
Exactly. Data is the root of everything. So excited to bring Megan in.
All right.
Yay. Well, Megan, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Global Giving Women Fair Game podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yay.
Honestly, I'm very excited to be here. It's my first podcast. So, just a little bit about me. So I'm actually not from Las Vegas, Nevada. Mm-hmm. I'm from California. I had the opportunity to come to UNLV. Never heard of UNLV, but decided this is where I was going. So came out here in about 2013 with the intention of going into international business. I was going to do something very different with my life. I was going to go into entertainment, open bars and clubs. Oh. And yes, very different than where I'm at now. And actually what ended up happening is I took a statistics course. For those of you that attend UNLV, Econ 261. And the gentleman that happened to be my professor at the time, Dr. Whatups, shout out, said, if you like my class, come talk to me. It's not normal. Literally his words.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's very catchy. That's very enticing and mysterious.
It is. You're kind of like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah, like tell me more. Yeah.
So I actually ended up going to his office and I said, okay, you said to come talk to you if I liked your class. It wasn't normal. And he was like, oh, you like my class? And I said, yes, I do. So he mapped out everything I was supposed to do. He said, okay, so your major should be economics. Wow. You need to do the master's degree. This is going to be great for you. Like mapping out all, and I was like, what is econ? Like, what is the subject?
Googling.
Yeah, I'm like, I actually don't really know what this is. But then once I took more classes, I was like, I actually love this stuff. Like, I am such a nerd at heart, So he mapped out this whole plan.
Interesting. It's like tapping into your native genius that you didn't even know that you had, like that affirmation of potential. That's so empowering.
Yeah, it was on it. I mean, for someone to just be like, actually, the path that you're going on is not where you need to be. You need to pivot this way,
Wow. Yeah.
That was a moment that I was like, okay, like your professors really can have an impact on you, right? Like they are there to help support you and guide you as much as they can.
Yes.
So after that, things changed, right? I was an econ major. I went into the master's degree. I had an incredible group of professors just kind of surrounding me and helping me and like guiding me. And at that point, I decided, okay, you know what? I love this so much. I want to do a PhD. Like, that's what we're going to do.
So smart.
We try. We work hard. That's what I say. And so then with the PhD, I did a year. And I just realized it wasn't going to work out. Like, it just wasn't really what I was going for at that point. And through the professors that I had an incredible relationship with, there was an opportunity at the Venetian.
So they connected you.
And this is how I ended up where I am today.
Wow. I love this story. I love the way that you kind of trusted the pivots, trusted the redirects, and how so many people kind of, have those moments of getting lost, especially in school, right? But also in career. Like, is this actually what I want to do? Am I on the right track? What is actually resonating with me and inspiring me? And you were able to listen to your own gut internally, but how important that influence was of somebody that you trusted to help guide you through affirming your potential and empowering you in ways, not just totally telling you exactly what to do, but pulling it out of you and then giving you the guidance to get there. That's really, really interesting.
Yeah. I was very lucky, I think, to some degree, right? Like,
well, you worked hard.
I did work very hard, yes. But I was very lucky that I had professors that were willing to go that extra mile. Not everyone gets that. Sometimes, it could go the other way.
Yeah, but also you went the extra mile, right?
That's
you
true.
Into those office hours, and that reciprocity when people see a potential mentee or whatever the dynamic would be, going out of their way to go that extra mile. Of course, you want to reciprocate. So
that's a fair point.
Yeah. So I think both sides. So tell us about kind of the day in the life. Tell us about your job at a high level, or what somebody, if they were in a data science role, especially in the hospitality entertainment industry, like tell me about what they could expect in that average day.
So I'll tell you a little bit about my role.
Yeah.
Okay. So being in data science is incredibly different, I think, than most technical roles, in the sense that you automatically wear many hats. Okay. You are a technical expert. You are a data expert. You need to bridge the gap between business and tech, right?
Yeah.
You have to have all of those skill sets. So my day-to-day is never the same. Not one day, and that is what I love.
That's awesome.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
So, you have a day where you're meeting with stakeholders because we're talking about, hey, there's this data issue that we saw. What's going on with this, right? You're trying to figure it out. There's also instances where it's like, hey, Megan, this weird thing came up, and we actually don't know how to do that. If we did it, it would take us months of manual work. Can you help, right? So we get a lot of like, can you help with modeling? What about this weird niche thing that no one knows about, right? And so you have to be that person that people feel comfortable with to come and talk to about these things, right? And I will not tell you the amount of times that has happened, where I'll just get this random email that says, we think you can help. Can you? Right? And so it's been really interesting because even with my team, right, typically a data science person comes in with a very specific skill set, right? They come in with, I know Python really well, and I know I can do machine learning very well, right? Or they come in and they're like, I understand data very well. I'm really great with analytics. Do they typically have everything? No. So you have to help build up that skill, right?
And I love the way you articulated that, because I feel like it goes so well into how you kind of went through your journey of transferable skill sets. And to be, right, that person that has enough dynamic in the business, in the tech, in the just problem solving mindset, right? Like there is so much that you have to, it sounds like, learn on the job, right?
There is.
Yeah.
A lot of it is learning on the job. And I think every manager has a different approach, right, to how they build their team. But I think a lot of it comes from how I actually ended up at the Venetian. So the Venetian took a very big chance on me.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is this. Like we mentioned, right, I had an opportunity at the Venetian. I did the interview. That job was for a data analyst. To be very honest, I had no idea what they did. None. I was like, what is a data analyst?
Also Googling.
Yeah, like what do they do? Because I mean, I had no idea. And so I looked through the job description and I was like, modeling, I can do modeling. Like this is my niche area. I'm so good at this. And then there was something that I didn't know called SQL. And I was like, what is SQL? I was like, I can learn this. I can do it. So prior to my interview, I had 2 weeks of SQL experience.
Oh.
Only modeling experience, right, with some data experience with a product called Stata, which is like very niche. And no really big Excel experience. Like I was a baby Excel person. So I went into that interview and they saw that I could do it and put it together. And so I learned almost everything on the job. I had no hospitality casino background, right? Again, from a tech perspective, nothing really. All I knew was modeling.
Yeah, but you had that curiosity. You had that already proven ability to go out of your way to learn something, to put yourself in front of people that you knew, would have appropriate guidance for, what you wanted to do. I mean, those soft skills and how they translate into the actual work environment, I mean, that's the X factor, like that is, and I love this story too. It's such a good reminder, especially in today's current tech landscape. I mean, we're almost all kind of starting on the same page.
Yep. No, it's true.
Back to square one, right? Like all of the tech transformations that are happening, it's such new technology. It's changing so rapidly. And so that curiosity, those soft skills, that's a huge part of the foundation of what, it sounds like success would be in a role like that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a core part of the role,
Yeah.
right? You deal with business so much, and I think that's what's very unique about a data science role. Typically, data engineers, right, they do their thing, they're kind of in the background, they're not doing a ton of like presentations, right? And we love a data engineer. So again, not to say anything in that like disparaging, but a data science role, I mean, you are in the weeds with business. You are putting together an entire use case and presenting it to them. Then you have the added benefit of having to get them to adopt it.
Oh, yeah. And that's a big part of culture, right? I
Yes.
mean, that's something that is so beyond the core roles and responsibilities of, you know, any of the jobs mentioned. Well, I don't know. I don't know what you think about this, but I think culture is actually really a part of everybody's job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how have you seen like that importance of culture of adoption and innovation? You know, how have you seen that kind of make or break what actually moves technology forward?
It's actually really interesting because when I started at the Venetian, so this was back in like 2021, so AI wasn't as big, right? People were very, very hesitant. Like it was still new. We were doing like predictive modeling and things of that nature, and people didn't trust it, right? So it was an immediate uphill battle. You get to a point though where you build trust, right? Like that is my biggest thing to anyone in this field. They have to trust you.
Yeah.
And they have to trust the work. So what we started doing was like more meetings, which I know everyone loves, but meetings is what really made that, because we would put something out and you don't just leave it out there with the stakeholder. Let's meet up every 2 weeks. How is it going? What do you like? What don't you like? Are you notice anything concerning, right? You get their feedback, make them part of the loop. And now they know that they're valued in this process. They're more likely to continue using it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that's a perfect example, right? It's so important. Culture is a part of everybody's job, and building that culture of adoption is the only way that tech transformation or any sort of new technology is actually going to stick. And I love that approach. Like when I was in my event marketing role, I worked really closely with our data team to build out our ROI dashboard.
Cool.
And it took 18 months. I had to work with different teams. But eventually the last team that, I worked with that got it across the finish line, they did exactly what you're talking about. And I had such a wonderful relationship with them. On the business side, I felt like they actually understood me, that they actually cared. We would meet up frequently, right? And, it's another meeting, but it was so worth it to make sure that, that vision being brought to life was actually going to work with the stakeholders that we wanted it to work with. So that's so smart.
Exactly. I mean, what's the point of putting something together, right? You do all of this work because it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then it just sits there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like you don't want that. And I will say, I've seen such a transformation, like where I'm currently working at Venetian. I really have.
Oh, that's awesome.
Everyone's just so open to it. Everyone wants it.
Yeah, because you've built that trust.
Some of that is me, and some of that I think is just like higher level. AI has become a big thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So everyone's like, yeah, we want AI. So
it starts with data.
It does. It does. It always starts with data.
Yes.
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions right now. And like we've talked about this and, are now a part of different groups that really dive into this, like Las Vegas Women in Product Collective. But yeah, you go to these conferences and these industry events or, even just kind of your average, internal conversation. AI is the buzzword. Everybody wants to implement AI everything. People don't understand. Like, AI is nothing if you don't modernize your data first. Like who, owns the data owns the story, and your AI is going to hallucinate regardless if it's an LLM, a model, an agent. If you don't have your data clean or organized, then if it's still fragmented, like it's not going to work. So how do you navigate that in your role in terms of, is there an education piece? Do you challenge stakeholders? What are, you doing to kind of emphasize the importance of data in this golden age of advancement right now?
So we have a very particular process we do with any use case that comes. And a lot of times what we get right is like more modeling. I think like machine learning modeling. Now, we always have to say the phrase, I kid you not, in every meeting, it's hilarious. I'm like, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Let's just be very clear,
Yes.
right? So if we do not have the data that can sustain what we're trying to do, this is not something we can do right now. right? So we immediately kick off that conversation and we start with data discovery. That is what we do every time. So whether or not I feel like I'm an expert in that data area or it's something that's brand new, we start from the beginning. What is the goal? Do we have the data to get there? Do we have the quality of data to get there? Right? Those are big things, because again, if you spend all this time putting together your use case on something that is already inaccurate, it's already like it's killed, essentially, right? Like it's never going to be used.
Yeah. And it's going to give you incorrect outputs and hallucinations and
and bias.
And
bias, in an industry like this, you have to be very careful about that. Right? This is actually one thing that I find very, very important when people are building models, because sometimes you can have phenomenal data. You do. And I'm like, lucky you, because not typically me, right? But you can. And when you do, though, you still need to be careful, because that data that you have that's super beautiful and clean, it inherently could be biased. Now you've built something on it that's already biased, right? So like a good example of this is thinking about predicting behavior, right, for like casino patrons, right? Typically, most people are men, right? That's just the nature of that demographic. So if you're trying to predict something for gender, right, like someone who identifies male versus female, what if you don't have the baseline for women?
Yeah. Gosh, it sounds like the health industry right now, but
right. No, it's true.
That's such an important point. So what do you think in terms of, your perspective, how you see kind of the trajectory of these tech modernization initiatives and advancement? Where do you see things going? What do you think needs to happen? And what are you most excited for?
Ooh, I love the question. I think we're moving more towards like automated workflows. I feel like that's version 1, right? Like,
sounds amazing.
Like let's get a lot of these inefficient things that we're doing every day off our plates, right? So I'm thinking more agentic workflows. But again, what a lot of people don't realize with an agentic workflow is we're back that a lot of times it requires a model on the back end. And if it requires a model on the back end, how does our data look? Right?
It all goes back to data.
It all goes back to data.
Yes.
So in my opinion, genuinely the first step is getting your data into a state where it's governed. We believe in the data quality. It's in a place where it can optimize. So what I mean by that is like if you're going to run a model and it's on millions and millions of row of data, right? It needs to be in the cloud. Right? Like we are not doing this on-prem. It's not going to function. It's going to take you a week to do something. So, again, we come back to data, and I think that's step 1. Like, where is your data at? Do you have governance? Are we checking data quality? And I will not tell you the amount of times we have a use case that is live, and we're like, why is data missing? Or why is this happening? Or what happened here? It didn't get flagged. And it's really no one's fault. It's just no one has ever thought of like, okay, if we get to this state, what are the additional things that we need? What do we need to start doing to ensure that these things are going to run smoothly?
And a big piece of it is data modernization, and also what we were talking about earlier, culture. Like you have to have that culture, to your point about governance, right there, that culture of trust, that culture of adoption, and that culture of innovation, experimentation to, make sure things are right. So AI is not just this, fluffy buzzword, right? Like there's this whole picture, and data and culture are foundational to anything AI right now.
They really are, and I think some of it comes from the fact that AI seems like magic to a lot of people. It does, right? And I can understand that, because if you aren't someone who like has had to build one or like understand how the back end works, right? It is magic.
Seems like it.
Yeah, for sure. And so you're like, well, I have this really cool magical thing that can just do anything I want. And I'm like, sure. But again, we go back to the phrase garbage in, garbage out, right? Like that's just where we're at.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, this gets me so excited. And I love too what you're talking about with the merge of tech and business. Like I'm on the business side, sure my, company does cloud data, AI services, et cetera. But this is so fascinating. Like I feel more techie, right? Just, being able to understand this and solution this for businesses. Like, it's not just a technology thing. Like, this is so business and people, focused and important and foundational. It's beyond the technology. So it's something kind of what we were talking about with culture. It's really everybody's job, and at this point there isn't a discipline, maybe like construction, manufacturing, et cetera. But hey, actually, no, like they've got, their automation,
That's
things
true.
happening too. It's touching everything. It's, more analogous to electrification. Like, it is touching everyone. And so to be able to have the seat that you have in this golden age of advancement and transformation is so exciting.
Oh, it is. And I love it.
Yeah.
I genuinely do.
Yeah.
And like, kind of back to what you're saying about like merging the gap between business and tech, right? We genuinely try to, when we're meeting with stakeholders, what are you uncomfortable with? What don't you understand, right? We try to also do some education because, again, the trust is so important. And the more they know, like, kind of the more excited they're going to be to bring me new use cases. Oh, Megan mentioned we could do something like this because I know this, right? I'm going to bring her something new.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's always the goal, because my whole role is to bring value, right, to the company and to business.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that there's a good relationship there.
Oh, that's so exciting. And that goes back to kind of like what we were saying at the beginning, right? Everyone is really starting on the same page. Once again, like, even if you are a C-level, a big executive in technology, you've got decades of experience, this is still brand new. Like, this is still, we can't just assume that people fully understand this. And, that education piece, that's a really big piece of culture too.
It is. It is. And I think Venetian has done a very good job of that, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I have not heard of a lot of companies that go through and do the education piece, but they definitely have.
That's
and
awesome.
I think that's incredibly helpful because it's new for everyone.
Yeah.
Even as someone who comes out of a data science background, right? There are things where someone will be like, oh, Megan, like, can we do this? And I'm like, great question. Let me get back to you because I actually don't know if that's possible yet, right?
Yeah.
And I also think that that's very important because we don't all know everything. So I am very clear with the team. Like, that's a great one. I actually don't know. I'll get back to you. And what I do know, we talk about, right?
Yeah.
That's something I would just recommend to anyone on the job, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people say fake it till you make it. And I'm like, okay, sure. But once you're there, transparency is key.
Yeah. And that goes back to that culture of adoption. You have to have that freedom to fail fast, right? And experiment, So what would you say is your biggest advice, right? You have had this incredible career journey, already, and still have so much ahead, which is so exciting. But, the transferable skill sets that we, have talked about, kind of trusting your gut in what resonates and, how mentors and leaders are affirming your potential, getting into technology, especially in this exciting age, right? The, importance of data as we talk about AI, the importance of culture as we talk about tech transformation. There are so many amazing kind of topics that we've covered. What would be your biggest advice to somebody who's interested in this sort of role that, you're currently in?
Okay, so a couple things. I think the first one is always be truthful about your background. Always. I think a lot of times, and I've just noticed this with like interviewing people, right? I am promised the world on a resume. Okay, and I'm like, okay, like likely not, right? Like, let's just be honest about where you're at. And that level of honesty will go a long way. It will. If someone interviews with me and I know they have one very strong skill set, but I believe that they have the ability to learn the rest, why wouldn't I take them?
That is such good advice. That is such good advice. Wow. And especially, right, as we've been talking about, a lot of this is new for everyone. Like, you have to be able to figure it out as you go. Even you are, right, as a senior manager. And so, that honesty is key. And that goes back to the trust and the culture.
Yeah. No, it is key. So that is probably my biggest thing to people, is just be honest about where you're at. Because again, you can learn other things, right? You promise the world, they're going to expect the world. And then when you don't deliver on that, then it's problematic. So that's probably my big one. And then the second one is being in this role can be a lot, okay? Right? I mean, the day is never the same. You're going to be doing something different all the time. You're going to have to always be innovating and learning new skills.
Yeah.
You have to be passionate about data analytics. You genuinely do.
You have to like it.
Yeah, right? Because I mean, if you're coming in here and you're like, oh, I'm going to do this because it's a really hot area right now, like, and I'm like, that's fine if that's how you want to approach it. But I think the level of burnout you would get from something like that would be a lot higher.
Yeah.
Just because you're in a role that you don't really love.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're spending 40 hours of your week, right, trying to work in it. That's my other big thing. I genuinely love what I do.
Yeah.
I am very, very lucky that way. Not everyone can say that. And I think it's one of the reasons I have done so well at this point.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. And yeah, it's really honing in, right? It's not just getting a job for the buzzword or thinking that this is the way of the future. Like, it's touching everything. Like, you have to enjoy what you do. I totally agree. I'm all about work-life blend. Like, I say that all the time. I'm like, I blend it all together because I genuinely love it, right? Like, solutioning for customers and getting to hang out and build relationships and all of that. Like, it's genuinely so fun. So when that lights you up, that's the best job. Yes. And it's so cool to see, like, what you've been able to, overcome in your career in terms of the jungle gym, not the ladder, right? Like, knowing that, it wasn't just a straight path. Like, you bounced around, like, you've been able to overcome, it sounds like a lot of, oh my gosh, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right direction? I think that's really, really inspirational for, people to hear. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. Favorite way to close out a Spotlight Series episode. So tell us your best compliment you've ever received and how it positively impacted the trajectory of your life or career.
Okay. So I thought about this for quite some time because I knew this one was going to be coming.
Yes.
And okay, funnily enough, I could not, for the life of me, come up with a compliment that impacted me that way.
Oh.
However, there's one thing I keep going back to. And as cheesy as it may sound, it is the phrase, go big or go home. So, yes, a little bit about where that comes from. I took a gap year between high school and college. I had to have a medical procedure done. And at that time, the surgeon that I had was like very much involved in like my recovery. And he was like, so where are you going to college? Like, what's happening? And I was like, well, I was debating UNLV or a very small private school in California. And he sat there with me and he said, absolutely not. And I said, what do you mean? And he was like, you are not the kind of person to go to that small private school. He's like, I know who you are and you've always been someone to go big. Why would that stop now? Is literally what he told me. And he was like, you always go big or go home.
Wow.
And literally ever since then, that is how I have lived my life. Like, if an opportunity comes up, I'm going to do it. Right?
Yes.
If I don't want to do something, I do ask myself, because I don't believe in complacency at this point, are you not doing it because you genuinely can't? Or are you not doing it because you're scared? Because scared is not an excuse.
Ooh, that is so good. Megan, that's like better than a compliment. And honestly, I think it is a compliment, right?
Yeah.
Also kind of going back to the affirmation of potential. It's like, oh yeah, like this person sees this in me, believes in me in this way.
That was such a like pivotal moment to me. Like when I kept thinking about the compliment, I was like, this is the only thing I can think of. I cannot think of anything else. So it has to be this.
That is. That's somebody seeing and recognizing, that energy in you. That's beautiful. And I see how that has translated into all of these steps, right? This unfamiliar topic that you kind of loved in college and you're like, wait, let me check this out. And all of a sudden PhD, you're like, what is econ? And then all of a sudden you're pivoting, right? Data analyst, like you're not letting any pivot or any like, oh, well, this isn't what I thought I was going to do, or this isn't, the path that I originally wanted to take. Like that freedom of openness that you had and held throughout your career, that is really inspirational. And it's obviously taken you probably to beautiful places that you couldn't have, imagined at the beginning.
Yeah, no, 100%. So highly recommend anyone that needs to hear anything, go big or go home.
Yeah.
Don't let it stop you.
Yeah. And like, what a beautiful thing to like look back on your life and be like, wow, how did I get here? I trusted the pivots and the redirects and those moments of affirmation, and look at this beautiful life that I couldn't have even envisioned at the start.
Right.
That is so good. Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't be on this podcast if it wasn't for that, right? Like this is net new to me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, you know what? Yes, this sounds great.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we are. Oh, I love that. And, you know, like Lauren and I were talking about in the intro of this episode, right? Just how we were able to connect, right? Meeting at the WISE event. Then thank you so much for the very pivotal career advice that you gave me. I was like,
anytime.
Just gonna reach out. I met her once, but it looks like we have a similar potential thing in our background. Let me get her advice. And thank you for being so transparent and open. And now Las Vegas Women in Product Collective, now you're here. It's, you know, that power of the follow-up with networking. And I'm so happy that we were able to connect and that you have that mindset. So, you know, you're here.
Yes. Thank you so much. Honestly, that event obviously changed a lot, right? And again, always take the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So thank you for reaching out, because it's been wonderful.
Oh my God, thank you. I'm so happy we're here. But thank you so much for joining us. This has been such an inspirational episode. So thank you for the Fair Game Podcast recording. Yay.